In our series on spiritual practices, we've come to the point where we're going to talk about the spiritual practice of forgiveness, which is just a light and easy topic. Steve,
Totally.
thanks for
Piece of cake.
ushering us into that. To get us started, though, I want to talk about your Grandpa Joe, who had a very, very unique nickname for God. He called God
Big Jimmy.
Big Jimmy.
Yeah, he did.
So let me ask you, if you had a nickname for God, what would it be, and what would that say about your spiritual journey?
Oh my gosh, talk about putting me on the spot. A nickname for God that's my spiritual journey. I can't think of anything. Thanks a lot.
You're too respectful.
What would yours
You're not
be?
gonna-
What would yours be?
I don't know. I just wrote the question.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I never thought to give him a nickname.
But what
I
is-
even think that when people call him like Daddy God and all that, it's so weird.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
I like Big Jimmy a lot.
Big Jimmy just works for a cowboy? He's
really
a cowboy.
does.
He's out riding the range
Yeah.
talking to Big Jimmy.
I'm not a cowboy. I don't even play one on TV. But I do love this this topic, and I think it's very, very difficult. I'm sure you've come across times where you've had to teach a message about forgiveness, not necessarily on a stage, but in front of people, as you're counseling them through something really terrible that has happened to them.
Yeah.
And you had to ask them, you need to forgive. I'm sure you have some examples or some times where you were like, I don't know if I could even ask that, because that's too big of an ask. When
Right.
you lose your arm is one thing, it's terrible,
Right.
but there's also been things that go even deeper and are even more harmful.
Anything that's devastating or completely changes your life trajectory that someone did to you or that God allowed to be done to you, that's really hard to forgive.
Yeah.
And then the people that we have to forgive, the hardest person to forgive
Yes.
is someone who's not sorry. They didn't even apologize. They're not sorry. But you're still supposed to forgive them.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry you were part of that.
I'm sorry if that hurt you.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah.
like, really? That's all you got? But we're not called to evaluate people's apologies or even wait for them. We're just called to forgive. And actually, we forgive for selfish reasons. Forgiveness frees us up.
Wow. But it doesn't feel like that. I mean, if you're in unforgiveness, and if something terrible happened to you, I can understand why you would not want, why you just not want to hang on to that. But like, how do you move? Because it's almost like when you forgive that person, forgive God, you're saying it's okay that it happened, or it's okay that it happened to me. And that's different, right? That's not what happens.
Well, unforgiveness is holding on to the possibility of vengeance. And God says, vengeance belongs to me. Mm-hmm. And the reason he says that is that if we will let go of it, God will take care of that person and even deal with that person in a negative way if he sees fit. But as long as we're playing God in it, it's not going anywhere. So really, if we let go of it, God is very just and he'll eventually take care of it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's about trusting God and trusting God to be who he really is. And like you said, that he's not the God that we made him out to be,
Right.
the God of our own making.
Right.
But it feels it feels unjust to forgive certain people for certain actions. Talk about that bitterness. What does that look like inside a person?
You know, it's like if somebody says their name, you just clinch. Or if you find out something good happened to them, you're not happy for them. Or if you find out something bad happened to them, you're like, see, you deserve it. It just eats you up. And we should never allow a negative experience in the past to own our present or our future. But we're in charge of that.
Can you say that again? That's good. We're going to write that down. Somebody's got to write that down. We shouldn't let something that happened to us in the past
To own our future or our present.
Yeah.
We have to live in the moment and move into the future. And anything in the past that is holding us back, and you can feel it, it's holding you back, but you got to let go of it. You know, Paul talks about these things as the sin that so easily entangles us, like it's entangling our feet and it's causing us to fall. But it's up to us to let go. God is not going to make us let go of bitterness.
No. And the weird thing is that our society, even Christians around us, somehow, or sometimes rather, they fan the flame of like, yeah, I can understand why you feel that way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit with you actually in that. And I'm going to hate that person along with you.
Right, right.
And society is very comfortable with calling that out and saying, yes,
Yeah.
let's hate
Well,
them.
we love a story. We love the drama. And the most loving thing you can do for a person is say, yeah, but now that you've gotten that out, I think at the end of the day, it's time for you to forgive. And that would be more loving.
I love that. Speaking of forgiveness and this being a spiritual practice, I love that you've been out on the road, literally across the world. I would love to get a little bit of a personal update from you. You're very involved in a ministry called, it is you, a ministry called Restore, where you also talk to pastors about the forgiveness that they need to forgive themselves, they need to forgive people in their congregation, they need to forgive in order to move on. Tell us a little bit, what's a little update on that?
Well, a lot of Restore now is one-on-one meetings, all the way from one-on-one to groups of a couple hundred, where we do soul care, where we talk about these things. You know, who do you need to forgive, and how are you taking care of yourself, and how are you doing really, and how did COVID affect you, and the political situation, the racial divide, where are you just worn out? And then we have these events that are in to refresh us. You actually went on the one to Tahoe.
Absolutely, yeah.
And for 3 days, there we are at a beautiful home, eating great food and going down to the beach. But also we're having these sessions where through prayer and encouraging one another, we're really taking the burden off of each other. And pastors getting together with pastors is an amazing thing. So been doing it now for about a year and a half. And so I just got back from Argentina, where I was with 70 pastors in Patagonia.
Wow.
For a 3-day pastor camp. And then in January, I was in Nicaragua with almost 200 pastors and their families. We rented an entire hotel, and we overflowed into another hotel. And because of my generous donors, I'm able to pay for everything, because these pastors are really poor.
Yeah.
And some of them have never spent a night in a hotel. And here we have a hotel with 2 swimming pools and great food, and then also just these sessions of refreshing.
Yeah.
So then coming up, we've got Pastor Camp at Alliance Redwoods up by Sebastopol coming up. And then in this summer, it'll be Bodega Bay for a golf camp. And then in the fall, back up to Tahoe. And then in the meantime, I'm meeting with pastors, regional pastors groups, where they'll ask me to share. And then that always, you get those follow-up phone calls. Hey, can we get together? I just got one while we were getting ready for today's taping. A guy said, I really would like to get together with you, and I've got some wounding. And so, Christian, it's been great. And I'm glad to say that a lot of Cornerstone people are supporting me financially as well, because, like I said, all this stuff I'm able to pay for it through donations. So.
That's really cool. Well, we'll put the information on how to partner with Pastor Steve in this new ministry with him in an area where, honestly, it's so needed. Pastors around the world leading the charge and bringing the good news of building the kingdom of God. We need to, they need restoring. So thank you for doing that and being on the front lines of that. I'm so glad that you were here. Join us again next time. I'll see you there.